The galactic conclave had debated for 3 centuries. Every spacefaring species knew the unspoken rule: humanity's home system was off-limits. Not because of a treaty. Not because of diplomacy. Because every species that had ever sent a probe too close to Earth had received something back, something that made their bravest admirals go very, very quiet. Commander Zarek Thorne of the Velthary Expedition Fleet was not a quiet man. "We go," he announced, his six-fingered hand slamming the holographic table. His crew, Joe the navigator, me the biologist, New York the communications officer, Di the weapons chief, Hi the engineer, and Wa the mission recorder, exchanged uneasy glances. They had all heard the stories. But Commander Thorne had ambitions larger than stories. "Sir," said New York, her bioluminescent skin flickering anxiously. "The Kethera sent a full battle fleet 2 centuries ago. They returned with 11 ships. Out of 400. And they never explained what happened," added Wa, stylus frozen above his datapad. Thorne smiled with all 4 of his mouths. "Exactly. Which is why we are going as observers. Scientists. We cloak. We watch. We learn the secret." He looked around the table. "The species that understands humans will rule the conclave." No one argued. Not even Di, who had 3 independent nervous systems and still looked pale. They dropped out of cloaked warp on the far edge of the human solar system, beyond the orbit of the ringed gas giant the humans called Saturn. It was me who spotted the anomaly first. "Commander," she said slowly, her 4 eyes narrowing. "I'm reading biosignatures on that moon. Enceladus. Humans. Colonists?" Thorne asked. "Research team. 6 of them. Living inside the ice." Me paused. "Their heating system failed 14 rotations ago. Internal temperature inside their habitat is -30 of their Celsius units. They should be dead." Joe pulled up the long-range scan. "They're not dead. They're playing a card game." Silence on the bridge. "Playing," Hi repeated. "Some kind of flat-tile gambling ritual," Joe confirmed. "And they appear to be arguing, happily, about the rules." Thorne leaned forward. "Their heating failed. They are trapped beneath the ice of a moon. Rescue is presumably weeks away. And they are gambling. Apparently one of them," New York read from the intercepted communications, "is cheating. The others find this more upsetting than the cold." Wa was writing furiously. "They moved deeper into the system, still cloaked, still watching. Near the 4th planet Mars, the humans called it, a rust-red world they were in the slow process of destroying and rebuilding simultaneously, they found a construction site. Enormous atmospheric processors, each one the size of a small city, were being assembled by crews in environmental suits. The work was dangerous. 2 of the machines had partially collapsed in a recent dust storm. 3 humans were trapped beneath twisted metal. Rescue teams incoming, Di noted, watching on screen. ETA approximately 2 of their hours. What the crew of the Velthary expedition watched for those 2 hours changed all of them. The 3 trapped humans did not panic. The first one, a broad-shouldered man whose suit read Cross, E, immediately assessed the structural damage and began instructing the other 2 on how to create a supporting brace with their own bodies to keep the debris from shifting. His voice, transmitted on an open channel and intercepted by the Velthary without difficulty, was calm. Almost cheerful. "All right," said Ethan Cross, survival specialist, grade 4, pinned beneath 200 tons of collapsed Martian scaffolding. "Here's what we're going to do." He proceeded to explain, in patient and practical detail, exactly how they were going to survive until rescue arrived. He noted load-bearing angles. He assessed oxygen reserves. He told small jokes between technical instructions. When one of his trapped companions began to hyperventilate in panic, Cross spoke to her for 11 minutes straight, not about survival logistics, but about her family back on Earth, her daughter's school play, what she was planning to cook when she got home, until her breathing steadied. They were rescued after 1 hour and 43 minutes. Ethan Cross emerged from the wreckage with a broken arm, 3 cracked ribs, and a full thermos of something he called emergency coffee. He offered some to the first rescue worker to reach him. Wah had stopped writing. He was simply staring. He was in agony, Mee said softly. She had been monitoring his biosigns. His pain receptors the readings were extraordinary. He was in extraordinary pain. He didn't show it, Hai said. He showed none of it. Thorne said nothing for a long time. Then, take us to Earth. Sir, New York began. Cloaked. We observe only. His voice had changed. The ambition was still there, but something else had joined it. Something that felt uncomfortably like awe. They took the ship to Earth. What they found was not a military superpower. Not a civilization bristling with weapons, though the weapons were certainly there. What they found was a species in the permanent, furious, energetic act of not dying. They watched a human dive into a freezing river to save a dog. Not a child. A dog. An animal companion. They watched human scientists spend 40 years studying a single species of deep ocean creature, 40 years, the entire lifespan of some Velthari, for no immediate practical benefit. Because we don't know yet, one of them explained to a student, and not knowing is unacceptable. They intercepted communications from a network of humans who spent their free time not allocated by any government or employer, time entirely their own, tracking and responding to natural disasters on the far side of their planet. Strangers helping strangers. One noted that many of them were in debt, in poor health themselves, and still, they went. They watched Ethan Cross again, recovered now, standing before a group of new survival trainees on a mountainside in what humans called Colorado. The most important thing, Cross was telling them, his broken arm still in a brace, is not your equipment. It's not your training, though those matter. It's this. He tapped the side of his head. The moment you decide you are going to survive, really decide, down in the part of you that doesn't negotiate, that is the moment you become very hard to kill. He smiled at his trainees, none of them older than 20 of their years. Humans are very hard to kill, he said. Remember that. The universe doesn't know that yet. It will. The Velthari expedition returned home. At the Galactic Conclave, Commander Zarek Thorne stood before the assembled representatives of 67 spacefaring civilizations. I have the answer, he said, to why no species attacks humanity. The chamber was silent. It is not their weapons. It is not their numbers. It is not their technology, though all of these grow more formidable each cycle. He paused, and around him, 6 crew members, Joe, me, New York, Dai, Hai, and stood watching with expressions that other species would take years to correctly identify as something between fear and deep, involuntary respect. It is this, Thorne said. Every species in this conclave, when faced with sufficient pain and sufficient hopelessness, eventually stops. We have limits. We have the wisdom to recognize when something cannot be survived, and we yield. He looked around the chamber. Humans do not have this wisdom. They do not recognize the unwinnable scenario. They make coffee in the wreckage. They play cards in the cold. They dive into rivers for their pets. They spend 40 years on a question because not knowing offends them. He let that sit. When you attack something that does not know how to give up, something that treats near death as an inconvenience and extinction as a problem to be solved, you do not win a war. He sat down. You only make them angry, he added quietly. And curious about you. In the corner, Wa finished writing his report. On the cover, he wrote just 4 words. Do not wake them.